After being up for about 24 hours straight, I finally had to crash Wednesday morning about 10 o'clock. And by the time I woke up Wednesday afternoon, Vicki had been busy decorating the house, and she had new curtains up in her office. I went out to the shop to check on everybody to see how they're doing, and Tony and Tess were busy putting new brakes on the back of the Mustang. They needed a few things from down at Mark's, so I hopped in the Malibu to go down and see him, and I managed to walk in right after he'd got done dealing with my brother.
That's a special part for a very special person.
Damn Skippy.
Look at that beautiful
I'm
thing.
proud of it. It's even AC Delco.
Exactly.
I didn't even specify that that I normally do,
but
so you must have known.
I did know. You done taught the teacher, remember?
I
We
don't-
went through that once.
I don't mess around with Chinese garbage.
How Mark puts up with my brother, I'm sure I don't know. As usual, I apologized to Mark for my brother's poor attitude and took all my stuff back to the shop. Tony and Tess were still busy working on that Mustang. They had just flown from California to Ohio in the middle of the night, got off the plane at 7 o'clock in the morning, and by that night, about 10 o'clock, they were still hard at it, trying to get this Mustang ready for the weekend. Tony was finishing up putting the TBM brakes on the back end of the car and getting the drive shaft straightened up so they can take it to No Prep Kings with us this weekend. Not only did they put new TBMs on the back, but Tony removed the vacuum power brake booster off the firewall as well. And he's got all the stuff he's replaced or removed sitting on the scales out there, proudly displayed for everyone to see how much weight he's shed off this Mustang. I decided to turn in about 1 o'clock in the morning with Miss Vicki after she got done packing up all the groceries in the race car trailer. And then the next morning, it was time to start loading the cars up and heading up to Dragway 42 in West Salem. Billy wants to test out the suspension on the back of the S-10, and I want to try and get the Malibu dialed in for 7.0 index at No Prep Kings Friday and Saturday. So I gave the Malibu a bath, dried it off, and put it away, and then me and the turd barrels jumped in the 64 and headed down to the local speedway station to fill up some fuel jugs with E85 for both the Mustang and my Malibu. By the time I got back to the shop, Tony and Tess were just about done with the Mustang and were getting ready to take it out for its first test drive. Now, last night before they got in, I went ahead and took the carburetor all apart on the Mustang just to make sure they weren't going to have any problems with it, and I replaced the metering blocks with some new billet ones from ATM. Once they'd backed the Mustang out of the shop, Billy put the S-10 on the ground and took it outside to load it up on the trailer. When Tony got back, I was just hoping he was happy with it. Well, you drove it for the first time since I was in the carburetor.
It's all the carburetor. Hey, he touched that carburetor, he polished it up. That son of a bitch run now. Don't mind all the other shit we did.
No, does it, I mean, but the carburetor's right though, right?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Sure.
It was good, yeah. Everything's
Because
good.
it blubbers until it warms up. You can't run it cold.
No, that's why I went all the way down the street, came down, then I turned around and hit it. But it runs good.
Good.
It runs really good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, buddy. I'm ready to go beat the shit out of it.
I felt a lot better after Tony got back and said the carburetor ran fine. Now it's time to load everything up and make our way north up 71 to West Salem, Ohio to Dragway 42, where they're having a test and tune this evening and their Thursday night bracket gamblers race. The air felt really good that night, and we felt like the cars should be making some pretty good licks if we can put the power down to the track surface. I went ahead and made a few little adjustments to the carburetor, and Tommy helped me get some air put in the radials so that I could go up to the staging lanes and air the tires down to exactly where I wanted them. I went ahead and put a tune in the nitrous controller, and then Billy and I headed straight to the staging lanes to make our first pass. My main concern with the truck is that it goes straight, and then hopefully it builds more boost than it has been. On the new wastegates, it should be a lot faster. And right off the trailer, the truck goes a personal best at 145 miles an hour. The Malibu, on the other hand, is giving some trouble. Something's wrong with the nitrous system on it. Tony brings the Mustang up, and he makes his first pass and blows the tires off. Not only did it blow the tires off, it's blowing through the clutch as well. While I'm working on the Malibu back in the pit trying to figure it out, Billy goes up to make another test hit and puts a little bit too much boost to the small block in the S-10. When I got back to the trailer, I learned that Billy had blown the truck up, and I'm still struggling with the Malibu. I made a motor hit, ran perfectly fine on motor, turned the nitrous on, it breaks up all the way down. It seems like there's something wrong with the wiring or something. Dig into that real quick. So I start trying to diagnose this nitrous problem in the Malibu. June gave me a little pep talk, I guess you could say, and I went back up to make another lick. But unfortunately, the car spun the tires on the hit, and the nitrous broke up yet again anyway. After the staging lanes were shut down, I realized that the nitrous controller itself was the problem. We all packed up and went to B-Dubs for dinner, and decided after we got done that Tony, Tess, and Billy would go back to the shop and put another new clutch in the Mustang, and that we would go on up to Norwalk and get our pit spot set up. And unfortunately, when I got to Norwalk the next day, I realized that I couldn't get into 7.0 Index because it was sold out. But regardless, the fans made sure we had a great day. Since I wasn't going to be racing, I went ahead and took some time to visit with some fans in between rounds of Tommy racing the Falcon. We ended up pushing the Falcon a little bit farther than we thought it would ever have to go, as the car was never intended to be raced on frontside track surfaces like this at Norwalk. The Falcon made a personal best pass up there, but we were definitely struggling with the suspension and chassis setup with the car turned up as far as we had it. We had a really good time, and I kind of just took the weekend off from filming anything and just tried to focus on watching some racing for a change. But I couldn't help but capture a few moments on the starting line of some friends of ours from Kentucky. We packed up and headed back towards the house at around 1:30 in the morning. We slept in a little bit on Sunday, and then Vicky was excited to go do some shopping Sunday afternoon at the pumpkin patch.
Today's the day. Pumpkin day. Gonna decorate at home.
Back when Billy and Tommy were still in school, Vicky used to work at this pumpkin patch every year for extra money for Christmas. Well, now she goes back to spend money before Christmas every year to get a whole bunch of stuff that's just going to lay out in the yard and rot and eventually end up in the weeds down along the creek. Now, she's really good at decorating with this stuff when it's nice and fresh, but she's not so good at taking it back down and cleaning up after herself once it's laid out there and rotted into the ground. But I do gotta hand it to her, the stuff does look really nice when she first puts it all out. She got herself some cotton candy, which ended up blowing away in the breeze before she ever got back to her pickup truck, and then she toted everything back, loaded it up in her old 64, and burned up the roads all the way back to the house with her truck full of goodies. She just couldn't wait to start unloading this stuff and putting it all over the daggone yard. And she already knows what I'm thinking when she pulled in. She's got this shit-eating grin on her face.
I brought home a friend. New squirrel friend.
I managed to get a little bit of work done out in the shop, got the grass cut, and got some things done outside that I wanted to get done just about the time Vicky was done working on her flower beds. Then the only question was, what are we going to do for dinner? Well, that didn't take long to figure that out since it's Sunday evening. She's always wanting to go to Cracker Barrel for pot roast. So that's where we went. And ultimately, that led to some more shopping in the showroom. Now, usually they're out of pot roast by the time she gets done shopping, so I used that as an excuse to get her out of the showroom and get her in line back there to get dinner. She did manage to get her pot roast, and she snuck in some shopping in the showroom while I was outside in the truck waiting on her to come out. So anyway, that wrapped up Sunday night. Monday morning, Tess and Tony had the Mustang loaded up on the open trailer behind Vicky's Suburban in hopes of taking it up to Michigan to visit their friends up at Team Z Motorsports. So what is the plan for today, Mr. Politano?
We're going to Michigan.
We're gonna go look at abandoned buildings.
We're gonna go to Team Z Motorsports, a huge part of our program. Yes.
Are you tired?
Yes, it's the last day here for us. Of course we're tired. You just beat us up 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning.
You've done that to yourself.
On time every night. We're the
It's
ones
just
that have been
terrible. Broke the transmission, bought a new transmission, bought a new yoke. Yoke wouldn't work with the U-joints. Uncle Terry's taking care of us. Everybody's taking care of us. It's hard. But we're gonna get it. We'll be back later this morning, tomorrow morning.
And then we'll leave.
Yeah, we gotta leave on an airplane. You gotta take us at 6.
Oh my God.
So we'll keep in touch with you and see what's going on. But hopefully we get the dry shaft in, get the K-member changed, make good content over there, meet some good people that we haven't seen in a long time. And then come back, everything beautiful at a decent hour.
Well, I'm gonna get after my crew in here. I got one over there walking around talking to his girlfriend or something. Look at him. He's completely whipped. He's pacing back and forth.
It's like The Walking Dead with him right there.
It is.
Oh my
And
goodness.
he's just walking around.
So with Tess and Tony on their way up to Michigan to see the guys up at Team Z Motorsports, I decided now would be a good time to take the opportunity to get the Malibu in the shop and replace the converter with this new billet 9.5-inch nitrous converter from Perfect Converter Company. Bubba Rafferty got me hooked up with this thing, and I can't wait to get it in the car. But that's not the only thing I need to get done on the Malibu today. The Malibu also needs a new set of rear tires. So I take the rear wheels off the Malibu into Jegs to get another set of Mickey Thompson drag radials put on. Plus, Uncle Terry let me know that my vintage air kit for the 64 C10 finally came in. So he dug that stuff out and brought it out to the showroom for me. I can't wait to break that to Uncle Bucko when I get back to the shop, that he's got more work to do other than just swapping the converter into Malibu. Right now, with everything we've got going on, the 55 Chevy, the 64 C10, the Malibu, the Mustang, Billy's S-10's blown up, and we still need to get the Nova put back together. There's no end to the amount of work that we've got to get done in my shop, so I literally need to make every second count to get everything finished up before the snow flies here in Ohio. So anyway, once we checked the fluid level in the shifter in the Malibu, I backed it outside and June Pup decided she had to go with me for the first test drive. Now, I firmly believe that this torque converter stuff's all a bunch of voodoo, and I'm not sure how Bubba Rafferty ends up knocking these things out of the park 3 times in a row. The Malibu, the Nova, and the S-10 converters have all been spot on right out of the box. This thing feels really, really good. I just can't wait to get it to the track, maybe this weekend, to see what it really runs on motor. But in the meantime, it's time to bring the S-10 in to start tearing it down to find out what went wrong with the little small block Thursday night up at Dragway 42 during testing. Kenny and Jeremy go ahead and drain what's left of the motor oil out of the oil pan and use a bore scope to look at the crankcase. And it looks like all the connecting rods are still attached to the crankshaft. So Billy decides just to go ahead and pull the engine the rest of the way out of the truck so we can get it apart this evening and see what's going on. While Billy and Jeremy's working on pulling the engine out of the S-10, Vicky's working on inventory for merchandise, and I go ahead and pull the carburetor apart to clean it all out and soak everything down with WD-40 to keep everything from corroding. Luckily, Billy already has all the parts to build a new engine for the S-10, an all-aluminum small block. But between now and then, I want to make sure nothing happens to that carburetor with corrosion to cause us any problems when we go to fire up the new engine. But right now, we need to find out what caused this catastrophe in the oil pan. Billy had to beat the sides of the pan back in just so he could get a socket on the oil pan studs. It took him almost an hour to get the pan off, but once he did, it was clear we've had a major high-speed engine disassembly. 1 completely shattered piston, 3 broken connecting rods, and a whole lot of shrapnel. 1 spark plug shows signs of coolant. All the rest are perfectly dry. I suspect that coolant got into the number 3 cylinder, hydro-locked it, broke the first connecting rod, and that started a chain reaction that went down the line. Hopefully we'll know more once we get the cylinder heads pulled off this thing and look down in the cylinder walls to see if there's any cracks.
Oh. That's the worst I've ever seen. Oh my God. Not good.
All right, guys, so we're out here in the shop. We just got done eating dinner a little bit ago. Junior's back out here with me. I think we're going to go ahead and pull the top end of this engine apart tonight. I'm going to probably go ahead and wrap this video up and get to uploading it and finish editing. I know it's been a few days since I uploaded. I'm sorry I haven't been able to upload as frequently as I usually do or as I would like to, but it's just been kind of hectic around here lately with everything we got going on. I want to thank everybody that came to No Prep Kings to see us. Sorry you guys didn't get to watch me race the Malibu. I didn't realize that you had to buy into that deal ahead of time. And they only allowed 32 cars and the field was full. I went ahead and paid and got on the alternates list, but I never got a text and never got a call. So it's no big deal. I enjoyed myself. I had fun watching. I actually had a lot of fun just relaxing a little bit without filming and trying to edit and do everything that I'm normally doing. So Tess and Tony are on their way back from Michigan. They went up to Team Z today. What'd they do, Billy? They put a new K member?
K member in the car, and I don't know what else. I think just a K member.
Okay. So they put a new K member. Oh, and I know they were... they had trouble. They broke the transmission in the car when? Saturday at No Prep? Yeah. They broke the transmission Saturday at No Prep Kings. They entered it in small tire, broke transmission first round. And so Tony got on the internet and found out Jegs had a brand new transmission in stock at the warehouse. So he went today. Was it today? No, yesterday, Sunday. He went Sunday, picked up a brand new transmission for it, brought it back here, put new transmission in the car, and found out that the yoke has to be different. It has to change, different something. I don't know. And Tony and Tess were out here until like 2 o'clock in the morning, beating and banging, trying to get a U-joint put in that drive shaft. I think they finally gave up and got up again this morning and just pushed the Mustang on the trailer and took it to Team Z, and I think they helped them fix the drive shaft up there. So they're on their way back now, and then I think I have to take them to the airport at 6 a.m. to get them on a flight back to California. I don't know if they're going to stay another day or not.
There's a lot of things you're not sure of right now.
There's a lot of things I'm not sure of right now. We're not sure what happened to Bill. There's a lot of speculation. So we'll see what happens. They may be here another day. I don't know. It's hard to tell with them. I know that they're wanting to make a lick on that Mustang before they leave, and that's definitely not going to happen before 6 in the morning unless, well, I don't even want to talk about that. It's hard to tell what we're going to get into. Good night, guys.